Hello everyone and welcome once again to Sunburned Albino roasts the Game Awards nominees, recently revealed on their website, and at least their new format doesn't bring my PC to a crashing halt this time. I did this last year for 2020 and I'm doing it again in 2021 where there are even less good games because the entire backend got offloaded into 2022. Get ready for some roasts, hot takes, and broken hearts, as well as just my overall opinion on games and what I think should win categories. We're doing them in reverse order, skipping over Best Esports event for games I've spent the last decade of my life not caring about, plus Valorant, who's at least a lot newer to my complete apathy. Everyone's favorite, Best Esports Coach is up first, and based on the nicknames, I already know which two people to exclude out of the gate. If people call you silent, I'm wondering how you get a whole lot of coaching done. Your player comes up to you like, hey, can you review my VOD and tell me what I can improve on? And this dude just stares at him till the player's like, oh, I get it, thanks. The other one is, of course, James Crowder. Your nickname is just your last name. Is everyone your middle school PE teacher that they just call you by your last name? I get why you became a coach at least. You must think you're surrounded by coaches at all times. Crowder! Yes, coach! We don't vote here because nobody cares. Best Esports Team. Now, if it were Best Crypto Scam, we'd sure know who to vote for. The FaZe Clan's been racking up accolades and Bitcoin wallets lately. DWG Kia has a team? I thought they just made cars. I can't believe someone would be so corny as to make a team called Team Spirit. What are you, sponsored by the Disney Channel? Come on and zoom your way to the bottom of the vote tally. We don't vote here either. Best Esports Athlete banned on Twitch has to be Chris Simp. Are you still not allowed to say that word in a broadcast because it applies to so many Twitch policymakers? I don't know that I would want my tag to be simple and invite the entire world to look at my dumb face and make every comedic connection possible. He looks like his favorite words are fee, fi, fo, and fum. Everyone else is fine, but we don't vote here anyway. Best Esports Game. Oh, hello 2020, didn't see you there. All the nominees are the exact same, except they replace Fortnite with Dota 2. Boring as hell, my man. Where's Nick All-Star Brawl? That shit is lit. Fighting games get snubbed all day, and they're way more fun to watch. I like how Call of Duty is just Call of Duty now. Whatever new entry comes out, it's just more Call of Duty. If I had a horse in this race, I'd just shoot him and put him out of his misery. No vote. And now we come to some categories that I can actually vote on. Here we go, lads and lasses. Time for the most anticipated game that was supposed to be out this year. The only reason Starfield is anticipated is because once Bethesda cranks that nothing burger out, they can finally focus on Elder Scrolls 6. I'm not convinced that Breath of the Wild 2 is even still happening. The last 4 Nintendo Directs have been like, well, that wraps up our showcase. If you were hoping for some Breath of the Wild 2 news, may I direct you to the dislike button under the video. I think Elden Ring is definitely the most anticipated game within its own circle. Like, the level of hype is higher proportionately, but I predict God of War Ragnarok would win an overall audience vote because it's a broader magnet for weekend gamers who have lives outside this medium. Imagine. I'm voting Elden Ring because Elden Ring is for real gamers, not these casual gamers with families to take care of. Next up is Best Debut Indie, a category most esports fans probably skipped. It's not a real game if it doesn't draw 100,000 viewers in a tournament, that's just facts, bro. YouTube would have you believe Valheim's gonna win, while Twitter would have you believe Kana, Game Informer would have you believe Sable, while my judgment of quality and individual experience would have me believe in The Forgotten City. That game is a narrative banger. Kana is a beautiful game with dogshit combat mechanics. The courage system is literally anti-player technology, the way it drains your ability meter every time you enter a fight. It's without a doubt the worst game mechanic of 2021. I haven't played the other 3, I'm voting The Forgotten City. Content Creator of the Year equals 4 people I've never heard of, and the Minecraft cheater with the worst fans on planet Earth. Dream stands are parasitic barnacles on the whale ass of YouTube stardom. They're like a fungus that preys on anyone who doesn't worship the faceless fatty that cultivated this behavior. This category is for creators who have made a positive impact on the community, and the first nominee is a fucking stick drawing whose community tries to cancel people on a daily basis. I have legitimately never even caught a whiff of these other 4 people's names. I am abstaining once again. Best Multiplayer is here, and though I'm not a big multiplayer guy, I have played a whopping 2 of these entries. I think Back 4 Blood is an okay game, pretty fun under the right circumstances, but it runs out of steam faster than an anorexic locomotive. Knockout City is actually just straight up good, about as good as Dodgeball can be. I didn't play it beyond the free beta, but it was one of those flash in the pan things that you look back on and go, yeah, that was fun. But like, I'm not gonna queue up solo. It Takes Two is a game that I have seen absolutely nothing but gushing praise for, and yet nobody in my circle would play it with me, so I missed out. Based on the subject matter of the whole husband and wife reconnecting dynamic, there's a low-key hilarious element of like, oh, if I play this with a dude, does that make me gay? And if I play it with a girl, are we contractually obligated to fall in love? But I'm willing to believe the hype and vote for a game I've never played. Best sports/racing, and I don't know that it even needs to be said, but Forza Horizon 5 leaves its competitors in the super high-resolution dust, and I say that as someone who prefers kart-based racers. Forza has a ton of multiplayer additive fun potential, but for me this was another game I couldn't get anyone else to get, even though they have Game Pass, so I had to drive stylishly through deserts and jungles on my own. And by that I mean start adrift at full speed and then drive horizontally and miss my turn by about 20 miles. Hot Wheels is a game I would have bought if it was half the price. It looked relatively fun, and apparently it's easy to break the game with massive shortcuts, which is neat for people in the know and annoying for everyone else. I actually think Riders Republic is a good idea, but Ubisoft always manages to dress these kinds of games up in an outfit that's entirely unappealing. Like, their idea of cool is just cringe to the max. Oh, and I don't play FIFA because I'm white and I have this accent. We vote Forza Horizon 5 in this house. Next up is Best Sim/Strategy. I have played one game on this list, and it's a good game indeed, though I didn't know card games fit into this category. Inscription is the best card game in years, full stop. It's got some weird quirks, but the card battling is basically unparalleled. I don't know why a game from August 2020 is on here. Did they just have nothing else to put in Microsoft Flight Simulator's place? Too bad Power Wash Simulator is still in early access. It would have cleaned up. Get it? Like the video. Civilization 6 is the only 4X game I've ever enjoyed, so I've never played these other ones. I'm voting Inscription. Now we have Best Family, but I don't see the Wahlbergs anywhere on the list. It Takes Two for Best Family Game. Imagine a parent and child or a brother and sister playing that without getting incest vibes. Mario Party Superstars is great if you want to teach your kids that everything they've worked for can be stolen away in a single chance time, though I'm not sure how it can be Best Family Game when it barely has enough characters in the roster to cover a family in the first place. I love when franchises just remove playable characters for no reason. Half the Super Mario Party cast is MIA because F you, that's why. New Pokemon Snap is a great family game to put on when it's time for a family nap. Super Mario 3D World isn't good multiplayer, or single player for that matter, with whatever the opposite of precise platforming is, although Bowser's Fury was kinda neat. I missed the boat on WarioWare, and I kinda regret it, but Wario is a family character the way Peter Griffin is a family guy. I guess I'll vote for Mario Party. Them kids gotta strengthen their emotional intelligence in the face of bullshit and betrayal. Best Fighting Game. I mean, Guilty Gear Strive is the obvious choice. I watched a trailer for Melty Blood, and I just didn't understand what I was looking at with these high school students with no weapons out here doing hella combos by just slashing with their hands like they had invisible powers. It would be like watching a 5-year-old do what he thinks martial arts is, and then just adding a bunch of CGI animations or something to make it look legit. I imagine it has something to do with their blood, in which case I hope none of the chicks ever get their period. Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl is actually a decently fun game mechanically, but I was a Cartoon Network kid, and every Nickelodeon character is fucking annoying, even when they're silently beating the shit out of each other. I think they were coached by that one guy. I vote Guilty Gear. Now we have Best Role-Playing, and boy did the anime boobs come out in full force this year. I'm usually big into this category, but 2021 was a real spotlight for combat styles I'm not into. I didn't like the Tails demo, I just tolerated Persona 5's combat, so I knew I wouldn't like SMTs, and Monster Hunter has just damage sponged the game, and I don't have that kind of patience. Scarlet Nexus is a game I've only put like 4 hours into, but I liked it a decent amount, except against other human NPCs. Those battles are awful, and dodging is horrendous. But the regular monster crowd control is fun with the different telekinetic powers and whatnot. But look what we got here, sheepishly trying to crawl back into the conversation like nothing ever happened. It's Cyberpunk. This was my game of the year last year, because my lists count December games. Sure, it was the buggiest bugfest of all bug factories, but beneath the infestation was my most played game of 2020. It was a great time when it worked, and I have to vote for it here. Best Action Adventure. Here come the real heavy hitters. This category might as well decide Game of the Year, because the Game of the Year is always from this category, because action-adventure is simply the best genre games have to offer. I've only played 3 of these because 2021 in general was a snoozer of a year for games, especially ones I was interested in. Psychonauts 2, not my thing. Never played the first. I did just about every other platformer mascot out there at the time, but not that one. The aesthetic always put me off. I think it's ugly. Guardians of the Galaxy? Nah, just not for me, man. I like Marvel fine in general, but the franchise following an 80s kid, 2 aliens, a rat in a tree has no place in my heart. Also, you're not ready for this hot take, but Metroid Dread is just okay. It's not that good. I'm halfway through and I'm bored. I know Metroid fans have been waiting since before they were even born to play the latest installment, but in the meantime, the genre evolved without the franchise. Every good 2D Metroidvania in the past 5 years is better than Metroid Dread. Hollow Knight, both Ori's, Ender Lilies, Salt and Sanctuary, Monster Sanctuary, even non-2D games that just have Metroidvania elements like Unsighted, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. The mechanic has gotten away from its source material to the point where I just think other games are better at it than Metroid. Also, they have way better combat across the board, which might be a factor. Meanwhile, Ratchet & Clank and Resident Evil Village are both bangers of a high degree, so it's between them for me, and I'm going to go with Resident Evil Village because it's more replayable. The New Game Plus unlocks are just way more compelling and fun than Rift Apart's. I beat RE8 like 4 times and had a blast each time. Now we come to Best Action Game. All of the action with none of the adventure, apparently. Back 4 Blood being here is silly. Like, stay in your lane, bro, you're a shooter. Also, in what universe is Far Cry 6 action but not action-adventure when there's literally an open world? Or perhaps the pure action category is simply weak enough to allow a game they've been copy-pasting for a decade while just exchanging the villain sprites. I'm not going to remember this villain for his impact on the game. I'm going to remember him for all those unskippable YouTube ads where he's like, go ahead, skip it. And I'm like, you know damn well I can't skip it, Giancarlo. They want him to piss you off enough that you'll buy the game just to murder him. Deathloop is a pretty good game. In the context of 2021, it's probably one of the best. I enjoyed it a lot. Returnal only made a name for itself by being a $70 Sony exclusive and disguising itself as a roguelike. I beat that game. It's a fake roguelike. Every run is the same. You'll get every weapon on every run if you go far enough. The rooms aren't different even when they're different. And it took them like 6 months to let you save in the middle of your 4-hour frickin' run. They wouldn't do it in the beginning. They thought it was a good idea to not let people save their run in a genre where every game lets you save your run, with Returnal's runs being like 5 times longer. Fake roguelike. Is the game itself fun? Yeah. But if roguelike elements are frosting, this cake is just plain. I'm voting for Deathloop. Best VR is a skip. I still don't have that peripheral and don't plan on getting it until the technology is way better. Innovation and accessibility? Sorry I'm not handicapped, I couldn't tell ya. All my limbs work, my eyes can see, my ears can hear, not to brag, but unless your game cures mild agoraphobia, I'm not the guy to judge it. Skip vote. Best community support. Other than watching YouTubers react to Fortnite concerts, I don't have a clue. I can't believe No Man's Sky still has a player base. What are you doing there? Trying to learn all the alien languages IRL? That reminds me that there are people who can speak fluent Klingon and Dothraki, and it's like, wow, you could have channeled that energy into a real human language like Spanish or Japanese and become cultured instead of a fucking weirdo. I can't play a battle royale for more than a week before I'm like, alright, release another one. You don't need to support this one for 5 years. Every battle royale should be online for 7 days and then permanently shut down after the next one comes along. There was a period of time when I thought about trying Final Fantasy XIV, but I already play Genshin and I don't need a third job. This is a skip. Best mobile game is here, and I still don't know how many of them are playable. 2 of them are the same game. There's no costume you can dress League of Legends up in to make me play that soul-crushing shit, not even Pokemon. I watched my friends play Pokemon Unite for a couple weeks, and I did play with them occasionally to fill a team slot, and I just cannot remember a single time they weren't mad at the game. Who signs up to get pissed off for 5 hours, and then they just come back to it? They'll rage quit, and then the next day they're like, Pokemon Unite? It's like your significant other beating the shit out of you every day, and then you sleep in the same bed like, good night, I love you. Equally toxic relationship, if you ask me. I've never heard of Marvel Future Revolution. That is the worst generic dumbass title I've seen in a while. I've turned around and become a big Genshin Impact fan, but I would rather lose 10 50-50s in a row than play that shit on mobile. I'm not voting. I don't think moms and their 4-year-olds deserve to cop out and play phone games. Get a console, buy all the Paw Patrol titles, and raise a real gamer. Best Indie, finally another important one, and of course there are snubs galore while the 2-hour game about fucking your sister gets a spot. I can't believe 12 Minutes got in over the Forgotten City. It's literally the same Groundhog Day mechanics but done 800 times better with decidedly less incest. I don't think the Game Awards even knew Unsighted existed because that game would have swept all this competition, and I say that as someone who also really likes Death's Door and Inscription. Loop Hero's just okay. I don't like the hands-off approach, and Kana's a big ol' 7 out of 10. Choosing between Death's Door and Inscription is tough, but I voted for Inscription in one thing already, so I'll give this one to Death's Door. Best ongoing game, well, I play one of them, so that's pretty easy. MiHoYo is kind of a garbage company, and the rewards in Genshin are always pennies on the dollar, and the whole gacha system is designed very exploitatively and money-grubbingly, even compared to other gacha games, and new content is fun for a week until you're done, and you're pretty much just counting the days till the next banner to wish on to get the most inexcusably expensive characters in gaming history while you brainlessly do your daily bullshit. And yeah, I'll vote Genshin Impact for best ongoing game. I got Hu Tao recently. I love it. Time to move on to the Games for Impact category, aka which game has the largest amount of LGBTQs. Life is Strange got some LGBTQs, Boyfriend Dungeon got some LGBTQs. I haven't played the other three, but I see rainbow colors and chicory, so that's sussy, bro. Nah, I don't have enough info to judge the category this time around. Life is Strange is a game that I have owned since launch and have yet to play, but I will definitely do that eventually before my personal Game of the Year list gets finalized. I got no dog in the race because none of these games validate my existence as a whatever I am, so I will not vote. Best performance up next, both Deathloop voice actors are quite good. I didn't play Far Cry 6, but all anyone was supposed to talk about was Giancarlo Esposito as Anton Castillo. He carried half the hype of the game for everyone who watched TV shows I've never seen. I'm sure Erica Mori is great too. Lady Dimitrescu is weird because that character's only in the game for like an hour and there's nothing special about her performance other than being 9 feet tall. Everyone who votes for her just wants to be stepped on. I don't really know how you pick between Colt and Juliana. There are some Colt lines you could put between 2 slices of bread to make a ham sandwich, delivered kind of overly goofily, but he's more expressive than she is, but she has a better attitude than he does. I think Giancarlo will win when people split their votes between these two. I'll go Juliana, who I am calling Juliana so I don't have to butcher her real name and have mostly white people who also can't pronounce it shake their head at me in disbelief. Best audio design, something I never noticed. Do sound effects line up with visual cues? Does the music play at appropriate times? That's all that matters, man. You can argue for PS5 games which ones make the best use of haptic feedback and whatnot, but that's not something I remember for more than a few days. My gut tells me it's Ratchet & Clank, though. Best score in music, now here's something you have to give credit for to Cyberpunk because that soundtrack is an absolute banger and the state of the game didn't matter in regard to it. That shit bumpin'. I've heard that Nier Replicant also commands a sexy soundtrack, but I must vote for what I know. Here comes Best Art Direction, and there's no conversation necessary, it's Ratchet & Clank all day long and twice on Sundays. It's actually the most beautiful game ever made. I might still make a case for Ori and the Will-o'-the-Wisps, but Ratchet & Clank really shows off that visual power. This is definitely the category that Kena Bridge of Spirits shines the most in, but it's still gonna get drowned out. And Psychonauts 2 is, how do I put this, horrendously off-putting. Also, Deathloop is here, and that other game too obscure even for me. Moving on to Best Narrative, and the picking seems slim. It's probably It Takes Two, right? Isn't that half the reason it got so many people in the warm and fuzzy department? Deathloop's story is good, but it's not blowing the doors off, and that's the end of my expertise on the subject. I want to be one of the cool kids, so I'm going to vote for a story I've never seen with It Takes Two. Second to last category, don't worry, we're here with Best Game Direction, which is like art direction, but it's all about gaming. I have to finally give an award to a game I've played. Congratulations, Deathloop. Your murder puzzle action with its different locations at different times of day and time doesn't move till you do everything you want is very compelling, as if I'd give it to a fake roguelike. Ratchet & Clank is terrific, but it's just Ratchet & Clank. It's not like they reinvented the wheel. And finally, the moment you've all been waiting for, Game of the Year. The overall quality of these choices pales in comparison to last year, and most years in fact, so this is what we've got. These are all games you'd want to be like number 3 or 4 in a list if you've played them, not 1. I'm eliminating It Takes Two and Psychonauts 2 from the island already because despite what I've done earlier in the video, I can't vote Game of the Year for a game I haven't played. Next to leave the island is Metroid Dread because it feels like a nicer looking version of a game that would have come out in 2005. I'm ready for a Zero Suit Samus game. Get her out of that cramped, clunky shell into a combat style that just plays better. Let me flip kick some bitches in a game that isn't Smash. Next to leave the island is Deathloop. Great game, just not as good to me as these last two. Which leaves us with Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart and Resident Evil Village. A game for furries and a game for furries. I platinumed Ratchet & Clank. It was a great time right up until the credits rolled, but then I found no reason to come back because everything that matters towards completion can be finished before New Game Plus. Resident Evil Village was also a great game right up until the credits rolled, and then it was a great time right up until the credits rolled again, and then again, because the New Game Plus rewards included ways to earn challenge points to unlock new weapons, and even infinite ammo for said weapons individually, which in a game like Resident Evil is just so satisfying you wouldn't even believe it. I was eventually mowing down enemies with an 80-bullet magazine assault rifle with infinite ammo, and yes, I think after you beat the game normally, that's something that's incredibly fun to do to let loose. I hope every subsequent game in the franchise keeps it. Resident Evil Village, you have been voted Game of the Year by Sunburned Albino, at least out of these choices, which I would have mostly changed to begin with, so don't think this is guaranteed number 1 on my top 20 Game of the Year video when I release it near the end of December. But that's gonna do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can like it and subscribe if you haven't. I stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/sunburnedalbino. Follow me on Twitter at sunburnedalbino. Watch all of my other videos without ever sleeping until you're all done, and I'll see you guys next time.